to do all these different methods, and she's like, if you use the quadratic formula for every single problem, you're going to get all of them wrong. And then like before she handed out the test, like she was so great, she was like, if you did the quadratic formula, you were going to get it all wrong. And that's all I did, and I was like, oh no. She gave it back, and I got 100%.
So I think today, for the most part, the factoring is going to focus on factoring out the greatest common factor, so what all of our terms have in common. But we might need to use the AC method a little bit, which is the way I like doing it. So remember, when a polynomial is written in standard form, it goes ax squared plus bx plus c. The AC method takes the a and c values, multiplies those together, looks for what multiplies to that value, and adds up to b. So I'll work through a few if we have some today. I know for sure we have them on tomorrow. But I have the steps here, so when we need them, we can come back to them. So number 1 wants me to factor each expression. So if I take a look at number 1, what divides both 6x cubed and negative 4x? 4 divides 6?
Oh, wait.
2x. Right? Both of those numbers are even, and both of them have at least one x. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write what I've divided by on the outside. Because factoring is kind of like division, but not all the way. If that makes sense. It's undoing multiplication, but it's not completely getting rid of it. So 6x cubed divided by 2x. Yep, 3x squared, because I do 6 divided by 2. And then I subtract my exponent on my x's.
So you just do minus 2.
Uh-huh. So if I wanted to do the AC method to see if this goes any further, I would take the 3 times the negative 2, which is negative 6. Are there two numbers that multiply to negative 6 and add to 0 because I have no b term? So like, what are my numbers that multiply to negative 6? Okay, so let's look at them in pairs. So 3 and negative 2, do those add to 0?
Oh, no.
Does negative 3 and 2 add to 0?
No.
1 and negative 6 add to 0? Negative 6 and 1 adds to 0? No. So those are all my numbers that multiply to 6, right? And it doesn't add to 0, so this is as factored as it gets. Okay, so on number 2, what number divides all of those? Okay, so I've heard 4 and negative 4. I'm going to choose negative 4 because I always like my first term to be positive. So I'm going to start off by writing the negative 4 outside. Negative 4x squared divided by negative 4. X squared. 12x divided by negative 4.
Negative 3x.
And negative 16 divided by negative 4.
4.
Positive 4. Okay. So on this one, are there two numbers that multiply to positive 4 and add up to negative 3? Negative 4 and negative 1? Well, negative 1 and positive 4, does that multiply? Does that multiply to positive 4? Negative 4 and positive 1, does that multiply to positive 4? Because remember, it has to multiply to the n number when I have a coefficient of 1 out here. So is there anything I can? No. So on number 3, 3x squared. I only heard half of it, I'm sorry. Okay, so I'm going to write that 3x squared out front. 3x to the 4th divided by 3x squared. Yeah. 9x cubed divided by 3x squared. And 6x squared divided by 3x squared. Okay. So for this one, are there two numbers that multiply to 2 and add to positive 3?
1 and 2.
1 and 2. So when I'm factoring this, remember I split it up into two sets of parentheses. Each of them gets an x because I'm breaking the exponent in half. And then the numbers you told me were 1 and 2. Questions on number 3? If it had been a negative 4, I could have. We did. So, but are there two numbers that multiply to positive 4 and add to negative 3? Yeah. Okay, so on number 4, what can I take out of both of those? So it gives me 3 divided by 3 is 1, and negative 12x squared. Actually, let's skip number 4. I don't know why this is here, because it's like, no, it's like numbers 11 and 12. I don't know why I have it up here so early. So we'll skip number 4 completely. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about, guys, is what I accidentally put in number 4. So when we have a binomial with two perfect squares subtracted by a subtraction sign, we factor using the difference of squares pattern, which you might remember is a squared minus b squared equals a plus b times a minus b. So what I'm going to do for these is I'm going to label what my a and b values are in my perfect squares. Because I can see this first term is being squared and my second term is being squared, and they're separated by a subtraction sign. Too many s's there. So my a, my a is x plus 2, and my b here is just the y. Because those are each of the two things that are being squared. No. Because that's the first term being squared. So then when I go to separate it using the difference of squares pattern, my a value I'm going to plug in is x plus 2. My first one is adding my b value, so plus y. And then my second one is x plus 2 still, because that's still my a value. And then it subtracts the b value, so minus y. Questions on number 9? So basically what I'm doing is I'm square rooting each term, and then the first one is my A, the second one is my B, and then I plug it into the difference of squares formula. Yeah, so to get my A value for this, I'm going to square root 16 x to the 4th. So I can actually write that out, if that'll help. So what is the square root of 16x to the 4th? Because remember, you take the square root of the 16, and then when you take the square root of an x with an exponent, you just divide it by 2. And then for my b value, I want the square root of 81, 9. So when I go to do my difference of squares, my a value is 4x squared. My b value is 9. And then for my second term, I have 4x squared minus my b value, which again is 9. Am I done here?
Yes.
Why not? Are you just saying no, Iris, because I look like I want you to say no? Anyone know why it's no, though? Not both of them, because this one's separated by a plus sign. That one's going to stay the same.
I don't know.
If this one is separated by a minus sign, and 4 and 9 are both perfect squares. So I'm going to leave the first one alone. Because there's nothing that's going to multiply that'll cancel out when you have positives. But when you have a negative, you have one positive and one negative, and they cancel out. So on my second one, what is my A and B value? Okay.